He wasn't dead yet, so he went and blew those towers up. Anyway, what?
Welcome.
That's just
I got
history.
some unfinished business.
Welcome
Yeah.
to Left Track. Yeah. we're, we're starting on that.
Welcome to Love Track. Ronald Reagan was responsible for 9/11.
Proximity alert. Vessel approaching. The vessel is hailing.
Space.
Warning. Warp core collapse in 10 seconds.
Nigga, that's where
But
I
that's-
started.
That's just true.
That's objectively, historically true.
That's just true.
Welcome,
That's true.
Welcome to Left Track, your leftist Star Trek podcast. I'm Eric. I am a disgraced father who escaped from the Romulans, and now my own son won't talk to me just because I killed 50 Romulans, and because I didn't die in battle because I'm too good of a warrior, my stupid fucking son won't even fucking speak to me because I'm a Klingon, and apparently we don't have any familial bond whatsoever. So you know what? Fuck him. I'm going to Stovacor. Are you stupid kid? It's good fucking luck. As always, I am joined by Brian.
Hi, I'm Brian Trash, and I'm a Benzite named Moloch.
Moloch the Benz, and Zots.
Hey everyone, I'm a little late. I'm Zots. I'm currently recovering from a three-way with two Klingon women who voraciously punched me both in the face and gonads for 8 hours straight. So yeah.
Yeah, you can't see. I know we don't do like a visual thing here, but Zots is actually just like a shriveled husk from like the rib cage down. Zots looks like a genie, but it's just still just all very dry flesh down there.
The mind was willing, but the body is soft and spongy.
True. Thank you, Zaf.
Well, so
Yeah, exactly.
we're here. We're back. It's episode 20. We're doing season 2, episode 8, A Matter of Honor. Now, one thing that I remembered immediately about this episode, I liked this one. I actually liked this one.
Yeah.
I will admit this was one of the more decent episodes. I just watched it. Like
Yeah.
I just
Now,
sat down.
you changed your fucking tune from last night, bud.
It was good. It was good. It was very good. It was good. Okay, it was good.
There we
It was-
go. There
it
we
was-
go.
it
Now
was-
we're talking.
It was an enjoyable episode of TNG. Yes.
There we
I-
go,
I
baby.
remember-
Baby.
I remember liking it, and to my shock, I went back and I actually did like it. I did notice more things, like actually like actively watching it, you know, taking notes, like studying up on it. It's a very different experience than just like having it on Netflix while I'm like playing a fucking video game, or like while I'm laying down to sleep, or just like background noise while I'm having sex or whatever else. And it's
Yeah.
it's good, and it was actually good. Sitting down and watching it, you do notice some things, some implications. This is like we had a Klingon episode in season 1. This is a much better Klingon episode, just as like a episode, but also we're gonna have a few things to talk about here, especially regarding the Klingons. I think we're all gonna have some takes here regarding the Klingons. This is the most whole portrayal of Klingon culture that we've got, like, you know, ever since the Klingon culture was sort of changed in the next generation era. Even when we get like a good amount of them in like Search for Spock, this is a different thing. That's like the modern Klingon, but this is like the modern. This is when everything starts actually getting like calcified into a cohesive cultural vision. This is like the start of this like golden era Klingon we're gonna see a lot of going further in TNG. We're definitely gonna see a lot of in Deep Space Nine, and and one of the few but noticeable things that Deep Space Nine has gotten wrong or did very poorly is the Klingon. So that's going to be a hot take that we will expound upon much more when we actually get into Deep Space Nine. But
yeah, in a couple of years when we get there, we'll expound on that quite a bit and how I totally disagree with Eric on that one, but that's okay.
I guess it kind of is just war. Okay, well, you know what?
It's just Worf. It's just Worf.
It is kind of just. You know what? Maybe we should. That's another good topic for a premium episode. Actually, talking about Worf, talking about Deep Space Nine Worf. Actually, you know what? So that I'm gonna write that down in my list just so I remember that. There we go. Okay. Talking about Worf DS9. Excellent.
Let's talk about Worf. That's gonna be the name of the episode. We need to talk about Worf.
We need to talk about Worf.
I don't want to talk about Worf. Worf was boring.
We need to talk about Worf. Well, you know what? We'll get there. Don't worry. We'll get to what we're talking about. Okay, so season 2, episode 8, A Matter of Honor. So intro, kind of an alternate like start here on TNG, rare even for like the later series, where it just kind of opens with very little fanfare. There's no opening monologue, and they go to the transporter bay, and Wesley and they're beaming on some people. Wesley greets a Benzite. Is it the same Benzite that we saw in that one episode?
Wesley's just racist.
Is it the same Benzite? No, yes, he's just racist. He's doing profiling. It's a funny joke because the same actor is playing the same character, the same race. But okay, all right. So it's not the one that he allowed to go into Starfleet, which is the episode where we found out that Wesley is the victim of an older woman, and that the Federation only admits one person per planet at a time into Starfleet. Very
canon, very true.
Oh, literally 1 in a billion shot of 1 in 10 billion shot of getting into actual Starfleet.
Oh, you know what? Now that you say that does make sense why Wesley would assume that it was the same person. Considering, like, from Wesley's perspective, there's only one person every 40 years that gets like.
That's true. What are the odds that 2 of these weird like gas huffing blue guys are gonna be admitted in Starfleet? But this guy is not in Starfleet, because one of the few things that this opening establishes is that they're having an exchange program. The reason that they're letting all these officers onto the Enterprise, all these weirdo aliens, is because it's an exchange program. Hey, look at that. We're taking people from other places. We're putting them on the Enterprise. We're putting people in the Enterprise other places. We skip over to Picard. Picard and Riker. They're at the phaser range, which presumably is on the holodeck. But you wouldn't think that. It's definitely on the holodeck, but maybe they're just using holodeck phasers, because maybe they're using real phasers. Okay, they're on the holodeck. They have holodeck phasers. This is like the first actual like game or like recreation thing that they've ever established in the Next Generation that actually seems like fun, besides like just like fucking on the holodeck. They're just in a void. They're standing like back to back on 2 sides of this very small platform, and they're just like shooting these little colorful dots that every once in a while like make a noise. It seems genuinely very difficult. It seems like they're having to hit a moving target that's like very small and looks like it's really far away, but it actually looks like fun. This actually looks like fun. It looks like an actual competition that's actually fun, you know, besides like Parisi squares, which we literally know nothing about.
All we know about Parisi squares is that it's foursquare, but with like knives.
Mallets. They have mallets.
Oh,
right?
sorry, mallets. They beat each other with mallets. Yeah.
Well, we don't know. So it's very dangerous. It is called Parisi square, so presumably there is some sort of square involved. We don't know anything else other than it's dangerous. You need armor to play it. It involves mallets, and it's called Parisi squares. maybe they actually established what Parisi squares is on some like New Trek thing that I didn't watch. Oh, by the way, speaking of New Trek thing, I sent Brian this article earlier, but they've like canceled New Trek. they're not doing any more like long series. They're only doing mini series from now on. Discovery's over, Picard's over. That Section 31 show doesn't exist anymore, so they're going to be doing like short mini series, according to Alice Kurtzman, who is still in charge, by the way. Short miniseries every once in a while. The first one is going to be like what the fuck is her name? But the lead of Discovery, it's gonna be her in Starfleet Academy, I guess.
I didn't read that far into it. I got tired of reading it.
I've heard a little bit about it. It looks fucking boring. They've also recently pitched this show, which is like a remake of Generations or something. Which is going to be called Star Trek Legacy. Now, so that means that Star Trek Legacy for a short amount of time trended on Twitter, and Zot, you I imagine wouldn't know, but Brian, are you familiar with Star Trek Legacy?
No, actually.
Not the new pitched show, but the fucking video game Star Trek Legacy. It was this really awesome it was like a shitty game, but it was a lot of fun. It was like a Star Trek Armada, which is like this RTS. It was a mod for Star Trek Armada. It's like a ship combat game where you have 4 ships that you're in control of. The campaign is that like you go throughout like the era, and you have like this small like little squad of ships that you like upgrade over time, and you go from like the Enterprise era like all the way to like Deep Space Nine and stuff. And it was a lot of fun. There was all these like different maps that you could play on, and there's all these factions. There's a bunch of different ships. It was so much fun. I remember playing it on the fucking Xbox all the time, and you'd switch back and forth between the demo and the actual game, because that's the only hope. It was the only possible hope that you had of actually getting a game. I'm pretty sure that's where I met like the people that were in my Star Trek Online guild because that was coming out at the time. I was hoping, oh my god, I was fucking hoping and praying that they were doing a remake or like a new game of Star Trek Legacy, but no, it was just this fucking this whatever stupid show that some New Trek showrunner was pitching. So and then like me and many other people were tweeted about our disappointment, thinking that it was a new game, and also that this New Trek guy just didn't even Google Star Trek Legacy to realize that this is already a game, because he was pitching it on Twitter like, I thought of this really great name for a new Star Trek thing, for a new Star Trek series. It's called Star Trek Legacy.
It's a car, right?
Yeah, seriously. And so then a bunch of New Trek people were like looking like name searching Star Trek Legacy on Twitter to just like passive aggressively complain. I don't get very much interaction on my Twitter account. It's just a private Twitter account. And I got like 4 people like commenting on my thing. People don't follow me, have nothing to fucking do with me, just searching and be like, well, it seems like a lot of people are really concerned about this shitty game that no one actually played or cared about. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you name searching New Trek? New Trek fans are the fucking that Alex Kurtzman has rotted the brains of thousands of people who go online and have to defend their awful product from the masses that even imply anything negative about it. It's like VTuber fans. At least the New Trek fans weren't sending me death threats, but at least the VTuber fans were a little bit more direct with it. You know what I mean?
What? You would have liked them to have threatened
I would have
like physical
it. I would have liked
you would have preferred them to like suggest physical harm upon you than the psychological damage that they caused you. Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't have liked it. I just think it's very telling that like even when the New Trek people want to be like toxic and go harass people, they do it in this like very, very passive aggressive manner rather than like just actual toxic harassment. I think it's very telling of the kind of community that they've established. This smug little shitty group of people. It's like, oh, don't you like emotions in your art? Fuck you. I'm sorry.
No,
sorry
I hate emotion.
Sorry to any New Trek fans out there, but I hate your products, except for Lower Decks. Except I'm too afraid to actually watch more of Lower Decks because I'm convinced that it went tits up once the management realized that the people actually liked it. But I mean, that's unfair. Season 1 though, great, excellent, great. I love season 1. It's really good. Can't wait to watch more of it. Okay, sorry. Going back to the episode, Picard and Riker are on the phaser range, they're chit chatting. Picard is like, "Hey Riker, so we're doing this little exchange thing. How about you go serve on there's a little Klingon ship nearby. How about you go serve on the on the Klingon ship for a little bit? Get out of my fucking hair."
Wait, hold on a second. I just want to say, like, I didn't understand like what was going on, because like the way that the episode opened was like Riker's on the deck giving instructions, and then like Picard comes in and he's just like, "Riker, meet me to play Super Nintendo." And
I forgot about that.
And it's just like, okay, Captain, like,
come to my house to play Smash.
Yeah. Riker, meet me for video games now.
Yeah, I totally forgot
like,
about that.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're
Right,
like they're welcoming the exchange officers in the transporter bay. Yeah, then Picard is like, "Riker, report to the holodeck immediately. Report to the phaser range," is what he says specifically. And so, we're unclear if they're actually on the holodeck or not. Hilarious. Okay, so yeah, Picard. So there's like a little scene while they're talking about Picard like shoots his shot and misses. And he's like, "God damn! Oh fuck! What'd you say, Riker?" It's just these like little things that indicate this little improvement to like the humanizing. It's not the most amazing. It's just a little subtle thing that I liked. It felt in character. I think it points towards a vastly improving script direction, vastly improving scripting that's taking place here. I don't know exactly what the behind the scenes here is. There were one thing or another. I mean, season 1's a mess, obviously. Gene Roddenberry is like basically out of the production at this point. I don't know what's going on with like Rick Berman or Gene Roddenberry's lawyer or any of the other fucking people, but the scripting improved, definitely. We've seen that the entirety of season 2. Basically, maybe they just got more talent on board.
Not the entirety, but
they've been working on it.
Well,
it's getting better.
Season 2 overall has had significantly better like just dialogue writing than season 1. Even in like whatever the bad episodes are. Even in like the racist
so do episodes of my fucking 4-year-old's favorite cartoon. Like there's
it's a noticeable improvement, Zod. It's okay. All right, it's a noticeable improvement. And I think it's a sign that it's like it's in the transition phase where it's now becoming the actual Star Trek that we like. And by the way, next week we've got A Measure of a Man. Can't wait for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. That's the first
gonna be a
like
blast.
good. Not to spoil anything for Zots. That's the first good episode of Star Trek. Zots forget that you heard that. So then commercial break opening episode opens proper with a little Picard speech where they're talking about what they're doing. Riker agrees to the transfer. Riker and Worf are talking about how it's expected, and this will go on to be, this is absolutely canon. This is 100%. This carries on all the way from D69. Is that one of the primary duties for the first officer and of Riker will be responsible for is assassinating the captain if they're derelict in their duties. That becomes more specifically if they become dishonorable, quote unquote. And we'll see a much more loose interpretation of this episode than in previous ones, than in upcoming ones. But one of the primary duties is of any Klingon officer on a ship is to assassinate the person above them if they're derelict in their duties in any way. And Riker is like, well, that's fucking stupid. How does that work? Why do they do that? And Worf's just like, it's worked for centuries. It's like. But once again, the Klingons...
We've always had slaves. What are you talking about? It works great for us.
The Klingons should have... There's no good reason that the Klingons should be a space-faring civilization, nor pose any actual impact on... pose any threat on the Romulans or the Federation whatsoever. There's no reason whatsoever. You don't even talk to your fucking dad if he's like 60. If your dad's like 50 years old and he hasn't died in battle, like, you don't even talk to him. That's the culture we're dealing with here. And supposedly and supposedly like they have enough technological advancement to maintain like the super modern technology that also keeps up with the Federation, a civilization of presumably more people and more cultures. Many of them are fully and passionately dedicated to scientific advancement and achievement. And like, no, the Klingons that just go around and just fucking murdering each other, just killing each other, having fucking constant like civil wars, and no, they've got enough technological advancement to maintain like a modern fleet that's a match or more for even the fucking gigantic Federation. But so okay, all right.
I don't know. Like the thing is, it's like, we're talking. Like, first off, we're interacting almost exclusively with like the warriors of the society. This is like literally the military, right? So like, imagine any society where there's just like this is the military, and like think if like the US Marine Corps was in space. Like, it wouldn't be quite like that, but it would have a lot of some similarities that may not be comfortable, right? That like you're gonna have people like doing big time strength worship, warrior culture bullshit like that, right? Mm-hmm. There's like Kronos is a whole planet, right? There's a lot of people on Kronos who are not doing this. Now, is it like well explained at any given point? No, but like, one has to assume that there is a full society on Kronos going on that props up this hyper problematic military. But like, but it is what it is.
That's a common defense, and one that I do not agree with, because we do see a lot of the Klingon society, and there isn't really a more complex layer to it. It's universal reverence for death and murder and honor, and a complete dismissal of the importance of basically anything else. Now, can that be a functioning society? Yeah, sure. Anything can be a functioning society. Can that operate a advanced science fiction empire that spans many star systems and is a formidable reasonable match to the Romulans, this like totalitarian hyper advanced regime, or the Federation, this like collective of minds of thousands upon thousands of different species. That's a very different question than if the Klingons can like survive versus if the Klingons can operate a spacefaring a hyper advanced spacefaring empire.
I mean, all we see from the Klingons in their daily life we're getting outside of this episode a bunch. Apologies, listener.
This does relate to the episode, to be fair.
It does. But what we do see from the Klingons outside of this is like politics. You see politics, and you see fucking warriors, and that's pretty much it.
Wait, politics or politics? I'm sorry, carry on.
I'm ignoring that. Okay, politics. And you gotta understand that we're operating in like the Klingon Empire under essentially like a military junta, and it's just like, you're looking at a government that is not really particularly interested in like talking about or dealing with the day-to-day lives. But we do know that there are Klingon engineers. You meet some of them throughout the show. Like they're out there. There are people doing all the jobs that need to be done in the Klingon Empire that aren't soldiers. Like,
well, it just doesn't seem like they could operate on the same level of like scientific achievement necessary.
I mean, maybe.
Well,
you don't know. That's the thing, is they don't. It's not outlined, right? There's no good explanation of it. It's just these like glimpses. You get these glimpses. You get the glimpse of fucking like politics on Kronos and how backstabbing and dangerous it is. And you get the military, where it's like very everyone's climbing the ladder and fighting for their spots on the ships, which, I mean, if you want to say that like that not turning into factionalism and like becoming a huge problem for the cohesion of the Empire, sure, that's a fair argument. But we just like we don't get to see what actually happens in like the day-to-day life of somebody just like living on Kronos as a farmer, because they're eating.
We do even a little bit, but you're right. I still believe my point, but I understand the counterpoint. And another point against like my thing as well, and I think the most convincing thing to me at the very least is that they get most of their technological advancement by annexing and enslaving other spacefaring civilizations, which we know like they do. They kind of gloss over it in like the show proper, but they definitely do that.
I mean, just existing around like other civilizations that have like technology is just simple enough that you're going to start picking up on some of it from finding either like derelict crafts or anything like that. I mean, because the Cardassians have something very similar, but to me, that's much more like reasonable and functional than the Klingons. I mean, the Cardassian Star Empire is like absolutely like far more cohesive, and it like partially because they've like developed all these tools to like run perfect fascism, like the idealized form of fascism. So it's like, regardless though, we will see more of the the impracticability of the Klingons and how they are become more than a match for the Federation, which even if all these things were true, I still think is too much. But
listen, I just want to say that
I
just want to say that even if the Klingons tripped over their own gach and into warp drive technology, they still got warp drive technology.
No, they got warp drive technology from the Herc, which is the space, presumably, which is the spacefaring civilization that, and this is most of of how it's reasonable that they became a spacefaring civilization in the first place is that a spacefaring civilization invaded their planet and plundered their resources and presumably left a lot of technology behind because there was like an actual like war. So that's the only reason to me that they even got off the fucking ground. But
Damn.
I mean, like, let's be real here. They're not the most competent in the science fiction canon. But
so to the Star Trek nerds,
my notes.
To the Star Trek nerds here, did my Gach joke land with you? Was that
No,
was that
but nice try. Nice try.
I mean, that's like I think Will Wheaton would have laughed at it. So
yeah, Will Wheaton would have laughed for sure.
You're on the right track.
Boo!
So
tell me in the comments if you liked it. If you liked it, if you are a person of class.
I think it was a great joke for Big Bang Theory. So maybe consider submitting that to the young Sheldon writers room at some point. So the Benzites. The Benzites. We don't. So his name is something similar, and apparently it changes at various points in pronunciation to like throughout the episode. But so the Benzite, which I'm gonna right now call Modoc, wanders around the bridge. He's from the Benzite like fleet. He's not a Starfleet guy, so he doesn't know the Starfleet protocol. He knows the Benzite protocol. The Benzite, by the way, are these like blue people. They have like these big flat noses, and they have this device that just kind of emits like a little vapor like right in front of them. I think that's pretty cool. I think it's a pretty cool detail, and I think is very reasonable for like another species to have, because like imagine if we're like on like an environment and we don't have, and there's like too much oxygen, and we have to have like a little device that's like pumping like carbon dioxide and nitrogen, because we can't just breathe full on oxygen because we'll like get hypoxia or something. Like you can't just breathe full on oxygen, you know what I mean?
I don't agree with that, because it's like that's actually like it's really dumb to just have it mist into the air and not like directly into your mouth.
Well, it's clearly not.
It's like yeah, it is, because it's like you think of somebody that has to use like a nebulizer. Like they don't just like mist it into their face like it's a fucking like they're spraying like high school girl perfume.
Fair,
you know what I'm saying?
But it's different. Like maybe maybe whatever they're breathing just needs to be really, really, really dilute, like so dilute that they can't reasonably just attach it directly, and it's a pain to like breathe it into your nose. Granted, yeah, they should have like a little device that's like on their nose that like puts them in, but maybe they need it for something else. I think it's fine, but you're probably right. But I think it's fine.
Because most of the time, like when the actor's talking to somebody else, it's just like misting like out. Like just into the air.
He needs
like,
to breathe it. Just a little bit.
But he's not breathing it. He's like actively talking. He doesn't even like hit it. If you put it in his mouth for like a second to like take breaths.
It's for him to breathe, maybe. We don't know.
You don't know either. Shut the fuck up.
Well, I'm sure there's plenty of information about this in memory beta, but it's fine. It's fine.
I'm looking right now. We're moving
on. Riker is eating disgusting Klingon, aka British food in the mess hall in order to prepare for his trip across the pond.
I don't think that's unfair. He's eating Klingon culturally. He's immersing himself, doing a little cultural immersion with something that's very important that like is easy to
Dog
meet
hearts,
somebody on their term.
Mud.
And fucking Pulaski comes up and is just like, oh my god, I can't believe you're eating food with salt on it. How it's so spicy. How can you even do that?
Yeah, Zotz was like had one of those classic interpretations of this. It's like, aha, the white people who think mayonnaise is spicy. I had a different perspective on this, which is like,
why would that be, Eric?
Trying to
tell me. Tell me why that would be.
Because he's eating dog hearts and worms, Zots. That's why he's eating dog hearts and worms.
You're not helping you're not helping your case here, friend.
There's no spice. No, actually, the Klingons literally don't put spice on their food because like their entire culture is like an escalation of pranks. It's like one of their favorite things to do, and we will see this, is to make other people eat their nasty food. It's like, aha, I bet you're too much of a pussy to eat this gross food that I'm eating. You want this raw chicken cock? Yeah, that's what we Klingons eat. Oh, you don't like it? Or you're too much of a little baby to suck the cum out of this targ testicle? Okay, sure, fine. No, it's disgusting. They're eating worms. This is, of course, before Pulaski says that it's gross, and this is, of course, before being cool with Klingon stuff and being like good with Klingon food was also a stand-in for, oh, this character's cool. This character is hip with it. This character can speak Klingon. They know a lot about Klingons. They love Klingon food. That's what our shorthand for showing that they're cool. Which yeah, I think so. I think we got some problematic framing there.
Yeah, I think showing somebody who's like culturally sensitive when they're like jumping into a thing instead of like forcing other people, like being like, well, hey, I'm on your ship now, but fuck everything. I need some tacos. Like, I think it's like I think this is like, that is cool. Actually, I think that's actually very good.
Oh yeah, well we'll see how your tone changes going forward on this. I would be surprised if you maintain that after you see like the 19th white person have their cred established by being able to say a swear word in Klingon and then swallow down Gok.
No, good. I'm glad.
Remember,
yeah,
I'm gonna remember that.
Hey, get out there, suck more foreign Gok, white people.
Remember this. Clip it.
Educate yourselves.
Clip it. We'll keep that in mind going forward for Zots. And keep in mind, all of these actors are in blackface. Every one of these Klingon actors, besides Worf, is in blackface.
Yeah, I know, right?
That is true.
I just figured out what benzides breathe. They breathe a gas heavy in chlorine. Which means there's just chlorine.
I figured it was some kind of fucking chlorine.
They're just misting chlorine gas into the Enterprise tech.
Listen, it's very. They only need a little bit. They only
no, you
need
don't know that. Shut the fuck
bit.
up, Chump.
Okay.
Stop. Shut the fuck up.
You know what? No, they need to breathe. They need to breathe into it. Okay, so that's a crucial part of whatever they breathe out. It needs to be breathed into some chlorine for them to rebreathe it, for them
they're just cycling poison on the Enterprise.
Okay, Zots, they're very inconsiderate. All right, they're very
Eric's
inconsiderate.
like, this
culture.
is fine. They can poison the whole Enterprise. Who cares?
Well, by 2372, genetic resequencing techniques allowed most of them to, in the words from Memory Beta, overcome this disadvantage.
Yeah, Zots is unfortunately correct. It is stupid. They just like missed the chlorine in front of the. My explanation. My explanation is going to be that they're very inconsiderate. In fact, they don't actually need to breathe the chlorine. they actually
don't need to breathe.
They just don't mind the chlorine, but they know that other people like it. But there was like one study that on benzite where it's just like, aha, if you breathe chlorine out, then you can get a slight advantage to your intelligence quotient. And then all the benzite are like, aha, okay, we need this chlorine, and then we need to be really shitty to other people by breathing chlorine into their face. So anytime anyone's around this benzite, they're smelling like the most like bleached up public pool you've ever smelled in your whole life. They're breathing in the rankest fucking sun splash you can even imagine.
They just got like fucking chemical burns in their like bronchial tubes. Like they're just their whole respiratory system is just fucked.
Yeah. So the band is
Worf.
going around on the fucking bridge. I'm sorry. Continue. You a bit? Continue your bit.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Go on.
Yeah,
On.
so
Let's get through this. Go ahead.
so the Benzite is walking around the bridge. He's telling everyone off. It's kind of funny when he's telling Wesley off, but unfortunately the writing has improved all around, and Wesley's even gotten a little better. So okay.
They did introduce a character more annoying than Wesley. Yes, this character was an insufferable prick.
This guy is a little bastard. He's smug. He's an asshole. That's his main characterization going forward, and he's about to start a war. So okay. So
Oopsies, almost started a war.
Riker, O'Brien is like, is talking to Riker before, and he's like, "Yeah, I'd be afraid to go onto the ship if I were you." And Riker's like, "I'm not afraid at all. Why should I be afraid?" And he steps on the transporter pad. The transporter pad is clearly some kind of like extremely weak like latex material, and so Riker steps on it, and it just like sinks down like 3 feet. It's very funny. It's so noticeable that I'm sure it was noticeable to even like TVs back in the late 80s, but it is definitely noticeable watching it on these like HD scans that they have on Netflix, which is where we were watching it on. The Benzite tries to like come to Picard with his little fucking micromanagement, and Picard's like, "Shut the fuck up. You report to Worf, and if any of your bullshit is important, Worf will bring it to me." And the Benzite's like, "I'm sorry," and Picard's like, "It's all right. We should have explained it better to you." It's great. He got fucking own-zoned. It's wonderful. Riker's just kind of wandering around the Klingon ship, which is entirely dark metal and red lighting. The Klingon that keeps like sniffing Riker, and he's like, "I've never smelled one of your kind before." And Riker's like, "Can you just take me to the bridge, please?" He walks onto this extremely tiny, cramped set. He approaches the captain, who's like sitting on his little throne. He introduces himself as like being of the Enterprise, and the Klingon captain is like, "Motherfucker, you are of this ship now. You're not of the Enterprise. You fucking better be ready to die for me, you motherfucker." And Riker's like, "Okay, yeah, sure, I guess." But then the second officer is like, "No, Captain, don't believe his lies." But he says it in Klingon. It's like subtitled on the episode, and he says it in fucking Klingon. So first of all, and then the captain corrects him and is like, "Speak his language." And it's like, wait, you're not. Why are you all speaking English? First of all, why do all these Klingons know and are speaking English? Did they not? I mean, they have the universal translator at this point in TNG, right? I mean,
they absolutely have to. Yeah,
they had it in the original series, right? Like, they're not just speaking English.
Yeah, the very weird thing of just, I guess the universal translators just stop existing for a second there, as a quick workaround for how to deal with there being a bunch of different aliens that speak different languages. So that's fun. They did fuck that up. That's
it's
funny.
Like the person that wrote this line just didn't like know about it and thought it would just be more reasonable that like, all these Klingons know English and are speaking it for the benefit of Riker, who is on their ship. So why do they know English? Why isn't Riker speaking Klingon if someone's got to learn another language? Like the second captain is perfectly fluent in English, but apparently has never even met a human before. So okay, they just forgot about. For the sake of this like one completely unnecessary line, so that the second officer can like say something surreptitiously to the captain, and then start a conflict. They just they make it so that all of the Klingons are constantly speaking in English to Riker. Whatever, fine. So the second officer is like 2 or 3 feet taller than him. Like they look side by side in the framing. Like Riker's up to like his fucking nipples. It's comical. Like obviously he's standing a little bit higher, but but the second officer is like, I got a fucking problem with this human. I'm gonna beat his ass. And Riker's like, you could try me anytime. And Riker proceeds to, after getting the captain's permission, proceeds to beat his fucking ass and then throws him into a panel which explodes. Now, typically, panel explosions are supposed to be universally fatal if you are within 5 feet of any panel that explodes at any time. But somehow he survived. Somehow he survived a Riker. He survived a Rikering. So back on the bridge of the Enterprise, the Benzite, he notices here's the conflict. It's set up right here. The Benzite noticed a bacterial colony. Oh my god! And the Benzite tells no one. Like, are we meant to believe that the Benzite's a saboteur? Okay, interesting. He didn't say anything to Picard, and the Benzite's like scanning the fucking thing like really intensely, like microbe analyzed, no results, and it's like, oh shit, what's happening here?
I didn't see it as like him like withholding information as to be like a spy or whatever. I saw it like him withholding information so that he could like keep like getting brownie points as like being the smartest person on the ship. Like, I'm gonna be the one to like alert this, and then everyone's gonna huff my chlorine.
Yeah, absolutely. So they and then like later. And then later, once it starts like causing a problem, they notice the colony on the Enterprise, and the Benzite's like, oh yeah, I noticed this earlier. I'm working on my analysis, and Picard's like, there's a fucking colony of space, fucking space amoeba that are eating away at the hull and in fucking engineering. It's gonna it's gonna breach our fucking hull in a minute. Why didn't you say anything? And the Benzite Navy is apparently like, oh well, you'd never notice any kind of immediately impending danger until you individually have a solution to the problem. So it's just entirely a clout-based culture over there. Everyone's very mercenary and are constantly just trying to one-up each other. Benzites. It's awful. It's awful people.
Benzites. Oh God, why did they design them like this?
So right back on the Klingon ship, Riker, we get an establishing shot of their little mess hall, and Riker in his log calls the Klingons simple-minded, and they're eating their disgusting slop in the mess hall. But two ladies.
Wait, did he say that?
Yeah, he calls them simple-minded.
Oh my God.
Maybe it was single-minded.
It was single-minded.
Okay.
Single-minded.
It says simple-minded in my notes, but that's because I record with a speech to text. So yeah, he calls them single-minded and then something else, maybe also simple. I don't remember. It's not important. But Riker's like, oh yes, I'm very interested in their ways. So two ladies are making suggestive eye contact with Riker, and here's the scene where we get the long-standing tradition of Klingons just being like this culture of like toxic masculinity. The only reason that they're eating fucking worms and dog hearts is because they've just been like challenging one another to prove their masculinity and strength for so long that they're just eating fucking dirt and shit, and in their favorite pastime is then making aliens that are just around eat their fucking disgusting food. It's like, aha, try this. It's just a bunch of fucking worms in a bowl. And Riker's like, they're still alive. It's like, yeah, that's how we like it. They're still alive. What are you, a pussy? The second officer is like, oh, if the alive gawk is too much for you, then maybe we can get one of the females to breastfeed him. And the entire mess hall erupts into laughter at the concept. And then we discover, and then the mess hall kind of clears. They discover that after the Riker proposes the three-way with the two Klingon ladies, they're no. Oh no, sorry. They're looking around the mess hall, and there's no old Klingons. Not a single Klingon over 30 years old, because they all die in battle. They all die. They all die in battle. It's incredibly shameful to get to the age of 30 without without dying. And so the two Klingons that are eyeing Riker, like the second officer's like, oh, they want to see if you could endure having sex with them, and Riker's like, one or both of them. Everyone laughs. It looks like Riker is going to get pegged later. And the Riker's like, well, is she actually gonna come peg me later? And the second officer's like, yeah,
of course,
and get fucking ready for it. The Klingons are talking to Riker after lunch, and they say that we're surprised that humans are funny or can be fun. And Riker's like, well, I thought it was weird that the Klingons are so much fun. Well, Worf is just such a little a bitch all the time that we were surprised that Klingons can actually be funny. And then they start talking about like their family and the importance of family. It's all about family. In the end, and the second officer reveals that his father was taken captive by the Romulans, and the father escaped, but because he didn't have the pleasure of dying in battle, he won't even speak to him. Now, I imagine maybe the father escaped in like because he says escaped, he wasn't like released as like a part of a prisoner transfer. It says escaped. He probably had some kind of like amazing adventure as he was escaping. I'm sure he probably killed a bunch of people. He fought and died in order to try to get out of there. But because he's still alive and he's 45 years old, despite the fact that he's a badass to actually survive in the way that he did, he's extremely dishonorable. It's extremely dishonorable to be over the age of 30. Cool. But Klingons apparently do not express familial feelings the way that other people do, because Riker's like, it's your dad, you should probably still talk to him, and the Klingon's like, no, we have literally no connection to our parents or our children whatsoever. Oh, okay, cool, I guess. So the Enterprise realizes that, oh my god, the bacteria is going to literally eat away at our hull, and oh my god, it looks like the Klingons were infected too. Then we snap back. There's a lot of snapping back and forth here right now. The A plot and the B plot have connected. Riker's back on the bridge of the Klingon ship, and the captain's like, hey, take a look at this. And it shows him a rusty hole in the ship. They reveal to Riker that not only do they have no way of repairing the ship, but the entire ship is going to be destroyed in 8 hours because of the fucking bacteria on their hull. Back on the Enterprise, the Benzite is like intensely scanning. They noticed that the back on the Enterprise, the Benzite was intensely scanning this place, and then they're like, aha, the fucking Enterprise beamed a space organism onto our hull. We are at war.
Yeah, because the Benzite Moloch ended up doing by the way, it's Mendon, but they got his name wrong so many times that it's
Mendar.
I looked it up afterwards because they fucked it up so many times during the episode.
Did they really?
In little ways. It was always in little ways that it was just we're never quite sure what his name actually was.
Just different inflection like each time. I think I think Picard probably did the best thing of just being like ensign.
Yeah,
that's just calling him by his title.
There you go.
Or his rank or whatever.
Just keep it easy. Hey, one of the benefits of being the captain is that you can forget people's name and just say how many bars they have on their fucking coat. But
it's true.
But yeah, because he had been scanning the side of the ship where the thing was and not said anything, it ended up being like causing all of this because that was what they noticed. They looked back at the scanner logs on the Klingon ship and they were like, oh, the Enterprise was like really paying close attention to this little spot with their scanning beam. And it was like, oh, so they were attacking us. And it's like, oh.
They were attacking us with a beam.
Mm-hmm.
Back on back on the ship, so Wesley's talking to MODOK, and MODOK's like, "Oh my god, I fucked up everything. I started a war between the Federation and the Klingons. The Klingon ship's gonna be destroyed. We're all gonna die just because I fucked up protocol." And these things are all true. And Wesley's like trying to get him up. It's like, "Hey, it's fine. You just got the protocol wrong. It's all right." Picard gave him a real fucking talking to. Worf has come up behind him and said like some very threatening things every once in a while. Wesley's actually being kind of nice. He's not being obnoxious. Again, the writing here is improved all around. He's trying to make MODOK not feel so bad about it. And then MODOK immediately picks back up and becomes like a little smug prick back again. Like, okay, cool, great, excellent. The Klingon,
welcome back.
Back onto the Enterprise. Back onto the Klingon ship. The Klingons, they send Riker down to engineering. Riker goes, huh, and then does it. They're clearly trying to get rid of him. They're talking to him. The second officer's like, we can't tell where his loyalties lie. We don't have confidence that in this guy. And the captain is very suspicious of him. The second officer's like, they don't volunteer for death as easily as us. But then they also like talk him up like he's not a coward. It's kind of they're mixing a lot of like metaphors here. The captain's motivations are definitely like a product of the writers needing to the captain's motivations are to make a conflict for the story far more than they're a kind of thing that a person would think or do in any circumstance. But okay, so the Enterprise
Just
changed course.
Overly paranoid. You know, that's the, and I mean, that's been a thing in media for a long time. The over paranoid captain. Isn't that just like what happened in? I'm gonna hate myself for not remembering this one. How I Learned to Love the Atomic Bomb, whatever it's called. Dr.
Strangelove.
Dr. Strangelove. Thank you so much. Yeah. Dr. Strangelove is very much about like this kind of paranoia too, where it's you have a person in a command position who has just lost their sense of what is real and starts seeing everything as a threat. And like the captain what is it, Karga? Captain Karga, the captain of the Klingon ship, very clearly falls into that character type at this point.
Indeed. Well, by the way, I'm getting a lot of background noise from both of you. Brian, it's only when you're speaking. Zot, every once in a while, I'm getting like clicking in button presses. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if there's a way.
I'll sit on my hands. I'll sit on my hands.
Sit on your hands. Where we'll rush through the rest of it. Yes, the captain's name apparently changes a few times as well. I didn't go back and see it, but Brian made this observation. So if it's true, credit to Brian.
It was Karga and Kargon or Kargan was where they usually went with it. They had a couple of options. Yeah.
So they
Cargill.
The Klingons start
Cardigan.
freaking out that the Enterprise has changed courses, is attempting to put out hails about the fucking bacteria. And the captain's like, "Oh my god, this is war. This is now the fact that they are now following us and are trying to put out a bunch of hails warning us of the thing that's on their hull. This is proof that they're fucking coming after us. It's at war."
You done goofed. You got it wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You want me to do it?
Pardon me, excuse me. I got it wrong. You're saying
you got it wrong.
Inaccuracy in describing a left trek. Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, so what happened was they were coming to do that warning thing, but they were just on regular hailing frequencies, and it is a plot point that they changed their hailing frequency to say that they wanted to help with the bacteria that they were then announcing, which is the big change that kind of changes the tenor of the bridge on the Klingon ship. So the second officer is less enthused and allows allows Riker basically to do what he's about to do. All right, go ahead.
But apologies, Brian, but I'm gonna have to say wrong. That's later on. They made the addition to their hail that they figure out a way to do this, and that's why the message changed. But right now, they are attempting to contact them as they follow their previous course and cannot.
Yeah,
find
that's what I
them
said.
By assuming
They were just trying to contact them.
but they don't change the nature. They change what the message is saying. They're not doing a different thing when they start hailing. They're still hailing and following. They'd add the message later because they add on specifically that add on that we found a way to deal with the with the bacteria.
Yeah,
so
Eric, you said that they were doing that on their.
That is a later.
You said that they were coming to say that they were going to help with that. And I was just correcting
that's a later
you,
scene.
This is the first. Say that.
This goes on for a while. This is the first time where they're like, oh my god, the Enterprise, they changed course, they're coming for us, they're looking for us, and the Enterprise, they can't find them because they're like, oh, either the ship was destroyed and we just can't find it, or they're somewhere around here cloaked, and that's where it happens at first, and this is all like right after this initial confrontation happens. The Enterprise is attempting to contact him, and then the captain says, "Oh my God, they're coming to kill us." So skipping over that, this characterizes the Klingons as being kind of weird. The captain is demanding. His captain starts demanding. Riker gives him defensive details on how to destroy the Enterprise, and Riker's like, "I will die for you, but I'm not going to betray my oath to the Federation by telling you how to destroy the Enterprise." The captain seems kind of like relieved by this, and he's like, "Aha! You're gonna die with us like a Klingon." So they report. So and then. Right here, we get the Benzite has learned finally how to do the protocol. He figures out the organism and he reports to Picard. We know what the organism is. We know how to get rid of him. Then they change the hailing message over that, and the Klingon captain says that he doesn't believe the information, and then continues to insist on attacking the ship. Data concludes that the Klingon vessel is in the area but is cloaked. I don't know why they assume that exactly. Presumably because the Klingon vessel couldn't have gotten out of range in that amount of time. But it would be just as reasonable, as far as I know, to just assume they just kept going, that they just left. But earlier on in the whatever. Earlier on in the episode, though, Worf gave Riker, I skipped over this, Worf gave Riker a little emergency transporter beam that'll work, but they have to be within 40,000 kilometers. This is a very, very good setup, reminder, payoff here, this little device that Riker has. So the attack is going to proceed as normal, and the Klingons say, they shouldn't attack until they're within 40,000 kilometers. He then pulls out the transporter that Worf gave him. It's this little beam. He does it very surreptitiously. Very directly. Very. What the fuck's the word I'm looking for? The opposite. What's the opposite of subtle? It starts with
conspicuous.
Conspicuous. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, he does it very conspicuously. He puts his foot up and he takes something out of his boot in full view of the captain. And the captain's like, "What is that? Is that a weapon?" And Riker's like, "No." And he doesn't explain what it is. The captain's like, "Give it here." And for some reason, the captain is just holding it like in his hand. But this is fine. So they reveal that Riker's like, "Oh my God, they can't attack. They should attack when they're within 40,000 kilometers." And then once he activates it, the captain's like, "Aha, we can't beam them in." The Picard's like, "Oh my God, we can't beam Riker on until he's within 40,000 kilometers. We gotta approach." So it's very clever. Then boom, it's very clear. The captain then gets beamed on to the Enterprise. Right there, the situation. My notes got fucked up here. Hold on.
So Captain Karga gets teleported over, right?
The captain gets teleported over, and then it's like, I got fucking tricked. He tries to pull out a disruptor, and but Worf is way too fucking quick on the draw, and then stuns him. So the captain's gone, and the second officer goes to attack Riker. Riker says, "Aha! I'm the fucking captain now, according to the Klingon law that we established earlier in the episode." Then the Klingon captain gets wrecked by Worf. Riker is like, "All right, turn off the cloaking fuels," and the guy's like, "We're gonna be destroyed." So I don't know why they think that. So apparently all of the other Klingons are just like the captain, convinced the Enterprise is indeed attempting to murder them. It's a little hacky. They didn't really establish this. The Klingons are just kind of like dumb and violent here, but all right. And then also they say that the captain says earlier that they could destroy the Enterprise with a single volley of phaser and photon torpedoes. The power level of ships change dramatically through like every part of every series. We see some ships getting destroyed instantly with a single fucking photon torpedo, and then we see like long engaged firefights with ships of like incredibly massive like power and proportions, like the Borg. But okay, whatever. So if you do like if you uncloak and then do an alpha strike, you can destroy the Enterprise. Excellent. Riker. So they uncloak, and Riker, who is now the captain of the Klingon ship, demands that the Enterprise surrender. Picard agrees right away, and one of the deals is that, okay, you have to, part of your surrender is that you have to fix our ship. It's actually kind of funny. They're kind of smiling at each other. So Riker was actually at that point the captain, and he has his command. He could have kept it if he wanted to. So apparently you don't actually have to kill the captain. They just have to be at some point derelict in their duties. Then you could just get them somewhere else. You just transport them onto something else. They don't actually have to be dead. You don't actually have to defeat them in trial by combat. You can just teleport them like into the sun, and then boom, you're fucking captain now. Cool. Okay, great.
Many ways to do battle. You don't ways. You don't have to use a oh my god, a batleth. You don't have to use a batleth. You could use a transporter beam.
You don't have to use a bagleth. You can use a mechleth. You could use a transporter to put someone inside the corona of the sun. It's all the same. So yeah. the captain orders Riker to get back to his fucking the Klingon captain's back on his ship. He orders Riker to assume his station. Riker just kind of stands there, and the captain just fucking punches him in the face. Is like, "Get this little asshole off of my fucking bridge, off of my ship." And the second officer is like, "Oh, hey, Riker, you understand Klingons very well." Now, they don't actually spell out what's happening here, which I was very impressed by. It's very clear what happened here, that Riker made a stand of defiance in order for the captain to them like physically overpower him, reestablishing his authority after being previously embarrassed. And they never talk about that. They mention it again right afterwards, because Riker comes back onto the ship and he's got this fucking huge bruise on his face. Picard's like, "Oh, apparently they didn't teach you how to duck over there." And Riker's like, "It's about when not to duck, actually." Cool writing. Look at that. You're actually trusting your audience. That's good
really
step
nice
in the right direction. I like it.
They literally did the show not tell thing, which is hey, you love to see that. That's something that just gets glossed over way too often. So hey,
especially previously in Star Trek, yeah.
Yeah.
And Riker is talking to Worf at the end. Is like, "Hey, thanks for the thingy." He says that, "Worf, you come from a very brave and unique people," and I'm just like, wait, no, he doesn't. Riker Worf was raised in space Milwaukee. He's not from the Klingons. He just is a Klingon. He's not from the Klingons.
It was like literally specified throughout, like, and I hate fucking Worf as a character, but like I'll give it to like the how he's written as somebody as part of a diaspora, where it's like, because he's separated from his culture, he has to do it through personal study and through like third hand like reflection. So it's like these are things that like are commonly done where people who like are separated from the heart of their culture that like we have to do because of no problem of our own, or not problem, but no fault of our own. We are separated from those things that make us, you know, not different per se, but like that separate us from an identity of like the people that we're surrounded by. So yeah, you could like make the jokes that it's just like, oh yeah, like Worf isn't actually Klingon or whatever, but like that's like not true, because it's like no fault of his own that he's been separated from a Klingon identity and he's had to reestablish it. And like we've brought this up before, when he's met other Klingons, like in that one thing where, you know, we get like the Klingon death howl or whatever, and he's interacting, and it's like, this is your time to prove that you really are a Klingon by betraying the Enterprise or whatever the fuck it is. And in actuality, like, once again, because Worf has been separated differently, you know, he's not betraying his personal identity in finding his own cultural identity. Like,
indeed, and that is certainly how it is portrayed when we talk when we hear Worf like talking with his human parents, for example.
Yeah.
And the
so
only
it's
other
actually
people...
nice. It's actually nice of Riker to like, and like it shows that Riker isn't a complete fucking tool and piece of shit. Like we have seen like when he was like giving shit to like Geordi and Data for like trying to paint a picture.
True,
but
this
like,
is a good Riker episode.
But
as well.
So like this shows like Riker does have like a sense of like, oh yeah, a sense of understanding of like his subordinates, where it's like, yeah, like this is definitely a sensitive topic for Worf. Worf does make a constant fucking effort to like, you know, figure out, you know, who he is, his place, all that other shit, right? So Riker telling Worf, hey, you come from these people, not only does it signal that Riker understands that like the stereotypes that exist on the ship, which like even O'Brien, like when Riker stands on the teleporter platform, O'Brien's like, I wouldn't want to be you, and Riker's like, well, why not? And he's just like, you know, Klingons, and then like zaps him to aboard the fucking ship, right? Like there are a lot of fucking cultural prejudices that are evident that, you know, Riker sees firsthand by literally breaking bread with the Klingons to be like, actually, you know what? Yeah, we're not so different, you and I, and you know, blah 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 blah. Like this is like it's a whole learning moment, and then it is perfectly reflected when Riker comes back and taps Worf on the shoulder and says, you know, I learned a lot, and you are basically, and like reaffirming Worf's like cultural pursuit to reconnect with his roots that he, once again, through no fault of his own, you know, has been separated from, right? So it's just like, yes, you could say he comes from fucking space Milwaukee, but at the same time, that's not his fucking fault.
True. Two things, and that is true, and that's a point that I wish more people would make, and it's something I wish they would, because they do specifically say that about Worf, and I wish they would make it stronger, but it's undermined, however, by two things. The first one being very like genetics prone reasoning throughout a lot of Star Trek, even into Deep Space Nine, that the Klingons and even Worf to a large extent, it's not simply about him connecting to his culture, is that he is inherently genetically prone to certain behaviors, and we see a few times like Klingons who are fully separated from their culture get like a taste like for blood, and then they become like violent, and suddenly they become like full on like traditional Klingons. So the cultural aspect is and would be a lot more interesting, and I wish they explored more if it wasn't so directly and often tied up in this very like this is your genetics. Your genetics inform the way that you act. Klingons act like this. Ferengi act like this, etc. It's
but
so
this
that
episode
undermines it, and
but,
also
but, but this episode like this episode, you know, and I understand that like episodes don't exist for the greater canon of fucking Star Trek because everything ends up getting retconned, and like it's different storytellers telling their different stories with the tools given to them with the fucking history of Star Trek or the lore of Star Trek.
True.
But like this episode like separates itself from all of that and looks at the Klingons as a whole, not as like the individual like quote unquote monsters that certain Star Trek writers would have you believe they are.
Yeah, true. That is like taking, and there's very little about like these problems that I'm bringing up in this episode. Taking this episode holistically, that is a big theme that is only undermined by previous and future writing, and not by the episode itself. The episode itself is great. The eugenics-y stuff is great. The other thing I was gonna say that undermines that is that Worf doesn't actually act like a Klingon. He's like shitty and misogynistic in a way that actual Klingons, like the Klingon culture isn't, and then he justifies his like very like hyper conservative reactionary stuff later on by being a Klingon.
I didn't say Worf wasn't. I didn't say Worf wasn't a fucking Gusano. I didn't say that Worf wasn't a fucking like Cuban expat that like came over here to be a fucking Republican. Like that's not what I'm saying.
That's a very interesting comparison. I like that a lot, but it's more that Worf is just like this like asshole reactionary who then uses his like background, his culture, not even really his background, but his culture as like this cudgel in order to wedge all of these like very reactionary and conservative like talking points into Federation stuff.
Yeah, like now, every fucking Cuban that comes over here and is like,
you're right,
I fucking hate communism because because they stopped my family from owning slaves. And it's like,
well, it's the opposite of that because Worf like venerates and idolizes the Worf idolizes the Klingons, and he uses that he is a Klingon, and like, I am a Klingon, this is what we Klingons believe. We Klingons hate women, we hate partying, we don't smile, we don't laugh. These are all things that are said, and then they're not true, and then it's established many times that it's not true. Worf is uniquely shitty, and it has nothing to do with him being a Klingon.
Remember when you said Eric, remember when you said that this is the new Klingon, right? And once again, like play it like you were correct in that statement. It's the same thing of like the Klingons have progressed, and Worf is still stuck in a more conservative, potentially like more reactionary thing.
This is the new Klingon of like the writing of the show. The Klingons themselves haven't progressed. The Klingons are meant to have always been like this, and previous depictions of them are just not canon in the same way. This is the Klingon characterized as established by the next generation. That's what I mean.
Jesus fucking Christ, this entire show sucks. Like the more they like you step in to fucking like say whatever fucking like bullshit you're saying is just like makes me just be like, okay,
I want to make
I'm like separating more and more of myself from this fucking show.
I understand. I'm not trying. I'm no point trying to say that you're wrong. This is simply this otherwise good episode is undermined by future well, I think it kind of undermines itself because it kind of paints it kind of plays into a lot of these like stereotypes, because the Klingons, as we've mentioned and stated directly many times, are this kind of like these very weirdly exoticized like people that the process of that is amplified by the fact that it's pretty much entirely the white actors in like very severe blackface. So there's a lot of aspects to this, and I don't think your critique or defense is incorrect, thoughts. And I'm not trying to when I'm talking about this, I'm not trying to say that you're incorrect. I am simply, for the audience, expounding upon the shaky relationship that the Star Trek writers have between Klingons, Worf, race, writing quality, eugenics, and a bunch of other things. Because that's what we do here. We talk about the whole thing. Now,
yeah, this is like, you got to remember when like the cultural context when this is coming out. This is like between like Reagan and like super predator being a real term that people used. Like this is like early to mid 90s we're going to be getting into in the next couple of like seasons, I guess. And it's like the cultural context is like very influenced by like the resurgence of kind of eugenics thought, the fucking like a lot of anti-black sentiment, and while the show tries to I really do believe the show tries to like examine that and be better about it than a lot of things were at the time, it falls short pretty frequently. So that's kind of what the show is like. Yeah.
I tried to give this episode its kudos.
True. We will go back to giving it a kudos, because now let's do the bit that of a left Trek that everyone loves. Let's do the ratings. Brian, I'll start with you. Brian, please rate this episode out of a bowl of 27 serpent worms that are still alive.
Let's see. I'm that's tough. That's tough. There's this episode's got like a lot going on. There's definitely a lot of like expounding on tensions in here.
Let me add another thing. Let's rate this episode, and I think we should do this with every episode. Let's rate this episode completely singularized, not at all connected, trying as best we can to not connect it to the rest of what we know of Star Trek. This episode just of itself we'll rate it off those criteria, if such a thing is even possible.
I mean, based off of like how the flow of the episode goes and just like how exciting it is, like it's really good. So I'm probably gonna give it pretty high stuff for that. It just falls short in some spots from just kind of the media landscape at the time. So but I'm still gonna go ahead and give it well, you said 27?
27.
I'm gonna give it 24 out of 27 serpent worms.
Very high amounts of it. Here's another question: is Gok the worms, or is the meal Gok, and they're different kinds of worms?
The meal's Gok, but then it's got the serpent worms in it, and I don't know if that I believe there's sauce on it, if I remember correctly.
They
They've got
do.
the,
There is sauce. They established that in Deep Space Nine
Yeah.
that they do. There is occasionally a sauce involved. Oh, actually, yeah, I remember. I'm thinking back on it right now. There is a there are different kinds of. There's a bunch of different kinds of gawk, and the meal is called gawk. But then there's a bunch of worms, different worms, serpent worms, whatever the fuck that means. That makes up the gawk, but they're all also called gawk. They have like another word before it, and then they say gawk. I feel like the word gawk is literally destroying my vocal cords. Gawk. Okay, Zots, please rate this out of a 400 trillion nano. Actually, no. Here, taking it back, going back. Zots, please rate this out of 7 tubes that are pumping chlorine gas into the atmosphere of the bridge.
So I think it's funny that like you say like to separate this from like from the Star Trek universe, because like in my opinion, separating this is just like an episode like of a show, like, or like just like of a short or whatever.
For me and Brian.
Like it's I would say like this is would you say my scale was topped out at 7?
What, yeah,
I would say it's like I would say it's like I think a 3.5.
I
but
see.
like as
one partially
but like
clogged
as
tube and 3 fully functional tubes.
but like as like a Star Trek episode based on everything that I've seen so far, especially within the Next Generation, I would probably put it at like a 6, like it was a 5 or a 6. Yeah,
so low bar for a Star Trek episode thus far.
Yeah, I mean,
fair,
honestly.
fair.
Yeah, I think that it is. Eric, you were saying that that you were mostly talking about. I don't know if you caught this, Zots, but Eric was talking a lot about the far, far future, multiple seasons away when talking about this stuff.
Multiple seasons of a sequel series
of a different
away.
show. Yeah,
yeah. So. And I want to try to separate this episode of what we understand from the Klingons from like future things that we understand about the Klingons that makes it a little more iffy.
Yeah,
for me and Brian, because you're not aware of that.
Because you haven't gotten there yet.
Apart from us talking about it constantly.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so Eric, let's give you the 4 trillion nanobacteria eating the whole of what's the name of the ship again? What's the name? I got it written down.
I do not have this written down.
The Pa. That's right. The
Pa. I'm going to I quite liked it, and separating it from future canon of the Klingons, just the episode. I remember liking this episode a lot. I think in my mind I probably had this episode at like a 3.7 trillion out of 4 trillion. But going back and watching it, the writing with the captain is a little hacky and forced, and that's like really the only flaw in it. Is just like the captain is just a little too single-minded. He's not enough of a character. He's just too like established, like the higher up of the Klingon command. It's not like a huge flaw, but enough to break it down to a 3 trillion 468 billion let's do 725 million 998 out of 4 trillion.
All right, okay.
Yeah, so still pretty good. I actually I still think it's really good. One of the reasons why, because I rarely go back and actually watch through even season 2, but so I wasn't nearly as despite liking this episode, I wasn't nearly as familiar with it as I typically am. But hey, I liked it. This is I think a significant, this demarks a significant raising in the average quality of the Next Generation episode. I always like to say that the Next Generation has a lower average than all the other series, including Voyager. Actually, maybe not Voyager anymore. I've really soured on Voyager, but the Next Generation averages out over all 7 seasons at like a 7 out of 10, and then Deep Space Nine but then there's many individual episodes of the Next Generation that's like a 10 out of 10, like some of the most like amazing television that's ever existed. And then Deep Space Nine is like it has a really high average and then like peaks occasionally, but the average is way higher than Next Generation. But overall, like we're going through season 1, and season 1's got like an average of like a 4 out of 10. Like, it's crap. And now we're getting up there. This is becoming a typical, just good watchable episode of the Next Generation, and a sign of many things to come. And I know there's a couple people out there that are watching through the Next Generation as Left Trek releases episodes of it, and I think you got good things ahead of you, including you, of course, Zots. But we will get there when it is. Now, I did not go back and make another Patreon post for the viewer mailbag, but we did go a little bit long, so we probably wouldn't have time for that anyway. But I promise you, audience out there, I promise you right now that we are going to make a Patreon mailbag for episode 21, which will be the next one. We will be joined by Kira Chetz and Nicotine, I do believe. And to stay tuned for Measure of a Man. If you're one of our lovely patrons, I'll make a post before this episode goes up, and please, in the comments, any questions, anything you want us to talk about, any little questions, and we'll address it. And just want to tell us we're doing a great job. Please go ahead and do so. We'd absolutely love to hear from you. And until then, any closing things for anyone? Zots, you got anything?
Nope, I got nothing. It's fine. It's a good episode. I was surprised. I was pleasantly shocked.
I'm glad. I'm very glad that you like this one. And I think even though it's not often talked about, it's not nearly the role of the Klingons is not nearly talked about enough, like in Star Trek discourse. But it's great to get Zots. It's wonderful to get your fresh takes on this stuff. I think it's very interesting. And hey, we're gonna and if you want some fresh takes, tune in next time on Left Trek for Measure of a Man.
Oh yeah.
Wait, that's Dragon Ball Z.
Same thing.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.